my handout in Illustrator. And let's go, I added an extra page. And we've got this perspective grid. Get rid of that. Okay, so here's an example of some artwork and inspiration for an idea, right? Called, if it's going to be called InstaFood or if it's called Super Seeds, okay? So some of the things that should look familiar are the worksheet, right? A little screenshot from a worksheet, right? You can either take a picture of it or you can open it up and do a screenshot and bring it in that way. You've got a little bit of text. Let me close out some of these windows. You've got a little bit of text from your 3 worksheet. And here are some pictures that are incorporated. And let me go down here and I want to just, there we go. So, like this person was developing a Super Seeds idea. So of course it made sense to look at seedlings and plants and flowers. And the idea is that you're going to grow food instantly. You just plant the seeds and in the soil and the water, and your food grows instantly. So somewhere along the way, there was a picture found of like a hamburger tree, right? There's a pizza flower here. So this is kind of like, these are inspiration pictures that are consistent with the idea of this Super Seeds. So this is kind of what you're going to assemble. So essentially what you do, and I've got the steps over here, and then I'll go through them. The first thing is to do your research and go out and find like pictures of things, get your worksheet together and put it in a folder. And you want to keep all of your assets for this project in one folder. And I've named mine 003 Lab 4 Assets. And here's a screenshot of all the things that I've put in there. And it keeps growing, and you need to organize your folder. But with Illustrator, it's really important to make sure that everything you put on your artboard is housed in the same folder as your Illustrator file. So here you can see I've got a sketch, which is over here. I've got my hamburger tree, which is over here. So everything on my artboard right now is housed in that folder. So
how do we create one?
You just go File, New Folder. That's just Okay. So you create a folder and you put in all the files for your midterm project. And my folder, as I said, includes these things. My Lab 3 worksheet, which is a PDF, and then some pictures that I found on the internet. And then I renamed them so that I know what they are. And it's good to keep your work organized so that it has like files have names, pictures have names, things are easy to identify. And then you're going to go to a new file in Illustrator, and I'll go through all these steps. You're going to do File, New. We're going to use tabloid size, and these are the requirements. So I've kind of laid it out in case that helps. You're going to do a landscape orientation, color mode is RGB. You're going to set the DPI, the dots per inch, to 150, and you're going to name the file Lab 4. And then you're going to open graphics from this folder, and you're going to bring them in and you're going to place them. And I'll show you how to do that. And then there's a few things that can be helpful, and I'll go over that. One is using smart guides. So smart guides are under your view menu. And you've got them down here, smart guides, okay? And what smart guides do is it helps you align things when you select something. So for example, if I make a square, right? And then I have another square, so I'll duplicate that. Can you see that pink lines? Let me zoom in here. When I'm holding down the Option or Alt key and I can duplicate. You see that pink line that comes in the middle? And then when I put it up here, it lines it up. You see those pink lines that jump out? Those are your smart guides, and they help you with placing things. so that I can kind of place things in a coherent fashion. And so you can also, there's different ways you can align things, but the smart guides are really helpful for placement on the fly. So you can always, and if you can't get it to work, sometimes you have to zoom in, and it's easier to kind of place things. If you can't get it kind of placed where you want, then on top of your interface in Illustrator, you've got these handy little ways to align things. So if I wanted to line these up to the left, I would just go up here and it would be horizontal, align left, and I would place that thing. Now you can also go to your view menu and you can turn on your grid, show grid. Okay, and then you see the little grid lines that come up, and that can be very helpful in terms of positioning things as well. You can kind of just place things, and that helps a whole lot in terms of aligning things. And then I can always use my arrow key to nudge things around if I can't quite get it placed where I want to. Okay, so you can just use visual guides like that. All right, so those can be really helpful as well. And so then I'll go through the rest of it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off my guides because they can be a little distracting. So I can always go down and turn things off if I want to turn off my, where's my grid? Hold on here, perspective grid, hide grid, there it is. Okay, and I go back to the whiteboard. So the first thing is setting up a new file. So I'm going to go to File, New, and I find my new document. And because I use Tabloid, it's my first one. But you might have to scroll down and look for it, and it's usually in about the third row down. So just look for Tabloid. And then when I click on my Tabloid, it gives me...
Excuse me, I only see 3 options. None of them are Tabloid for me for some reason.
Well, you have to go up here and pick maybe print, okay?
Yes, it's under print.
So go to print and then you'll see Tabloid. All right, and so then when you get here, you have your information. So it's width and height, and you can do either, a portrait or a landscape. I think the landscape works better. And then you don't worry so much about the settings because those are kind of preset. Make sure you have your color mode set to RGB. Okay, so there's 2 kinds, RGB and CMYK. Select RGB. And then here you've got your raster effects, which is just setting the pixels per inch, right? When you save it as a PDF or a JPEG or whatever, once you save outside the vector format. So at least have, 150 set, and that'll ensure good quality. And then that's about all you need to worry about. Don't worry about the preview mode, just leave that. So it's really just your tabloid, your orientation, your RGB, and your 150 PPI. Okay, and then I just do create. Okay, so I've got this empty board, and now I want to go get my assets that are in my folder. So all you have to do is go to Open, and then I'm going to go to, let me see here. I've got so many files in there since, yeah, so these are, I've populated it. There's a lot more in there now. So I'm going to get a few things here. So one of them is my sketch. And it's really helpful. Like the ones that I want to use, I rename so I can easily find them when I navigate through. And the most recent ones I've just added, I haven't done that. But the ones that I want are named. So sketch from lab 3, I'm going to open that. And you see it opens, but I'm actually in a new artboard. It's going to open it up in the same tabloid format because that was my preset file size. But I kind of like this one. And I didn't name that when I was initially in there. So I'm just going to save as, and I'm going to call it lab 4 right away. It's really helpful to name your files immediately. All right, and that's going to go in my folder. And I'm going to call it lab 4 test because I already have a lab 4 in there. All right. And then you just do your defaults, hit OK. So now I've got my sketch, and I want to bring it over to my Lab 4. And you'll see that every time I open up a file, it populates up here. So I can kind of navigate through my different Illustrator files that I have open, okay? So now I want to get my sketch into my Lab 4 file. So you can either, you click on it and make it active, and you can do Command C, right? If you want to do it that way, you can do Command C or Control C, which is to copy. And then I go to my Lab 4 and I'm going to Command or Control Paste, which is V, and there it pops in there. Okay. Another way to do that, which is I think a little easier, maybe not, is you just grab it, right, with your selection tool, grab it, and then you basically just navigate up to your new folder, and it pops over, and you see that plus sign? That means that it's dragging it to the new file, and I let go, and it drops it in there. So you can either just drag and drop it, or you can do your Command or Control C and then Command or Control V. So either works good. And that's what I'm going to do for, I'll do a couple of more. I'm going to open, and I'm going to get my sunflower, and I'll do that. And there it is. And I'm going to drag that over to my Lab 4. Poof. And I'm going to drop it in there. And you just keep bringing your assets into your new worksheet. Okay. So at this point, I might just scale down a bit, and it's a good thing just to bring everything in, and then you can start organizing how you want it. So I'll just do that a couple of more times. Open. No, this is the one I wanted actually to bring in, my sketch. All right, and this time I'm going to do Command Control C. I'm going to go to my Lab 4, and I'm going to paste it, and there it is. So you're just bringing things in, right? Until you populate your page with all of the content that you want to include for your Lab 4.